Here we go for take 3. What is going on, YouTube people? This is Elliot in Las Vegas here. I have a hockey card video for y'all today. With the NHL season starting just about a month from now, it's less than a month from today's recording. Today is September 15th. Some big changes from compared to last season. We're getting back to normal, sort of. We have a preseason. Last year, we did not have a preseason. So I thought I would look at the top 4 most graded Young Guns rookie cards in a PSA 10 for each of the last 5 draft classes, and take a look at the run-up to the beginning of the last season. Kind of take a look at the market trends for those 4 cards during the regular season and into this current off season, and see if there was anything that we can infer. So again, we'll just look at the value arc during the season, the trends since the end of the Stanley Cup Finals, and then of course my opinion on where I think the card could be going in the short term, as we are pretty much in a 30-day window now, between now and the beginning of next season. So as I get into this, I would just ask, if you like what you are watching, just go ahead and hit the like button for me. It'll help get some more attention and traction for this channel. Also consider subscribing if you feel inclined to do so. I would really, really appreciate it. I've been putting a lot of work into this particular video. So we'll go ahead and get started by looking at the 2019 rookie class. The top 4 graded Young Guns in a PSA 10 are Jack Hughes for the New Jersey Devils, Cale Makar for the Colorado Avalanche, Quinn Hughes for the Vancouver Canucks, and Nick Suzuki for the Montreal Canadiens. We'll go ahead and start with Cale Makar. Now again, these graphs that you'll see come from Market Movers. So this is the sales data generated from the eBay platform. And what I've done is I have put in the dates of December 13th of 2020 all the way until today. I chose December 13th because that's basically 30 days from the start of the previous season, which started on January 13th. So I wanted to get that 1 month run up to the season starting all the way until today. So for Cale Makar, the defenseman for the Avalanche, his last sale before the last season started, was at $325. You'll see his line is in purple. He's the first card there on the left, on the bottom. So right up until that red line, that vertical line that shows when the previous season started, Cale Makar's last sale before the season started was $325. His most recent sale, as up to today, which was on September 11th, was $514. So his card bottomed out in the off season at the beginning of August. It sold for around $375. During the course of the last season, his ceiling got up to about $650. Going into this year, I see the value getting up to $600, but not higher than that. His value remained relatively high during the season overall, and didn't really dip too much during the off season. I think it's already pretty high as it is, and with pop count still increasing and more subs coming back from PSA, I just don't really see. The expectations are already high for him. We already know what kind of player Cale Makar is. So I don't think that there's just a lot of downside to where the price is at right now. So if I had this card, I would be selling it. Next, we'll go ahead and get to Jack Hughes for the New Jersey Devils, the centerman. So with him, we had a big run up in value at the very beginning of last season, and then of course everyone remembered that it was he played for the New Jersey Devils, and they had absolutely no hope. So, and sorry to Devils fans, I think this team will be good in a couple of years. I just don't see anything for right now. However, with that said, going into last season, his last sale was $210 right before January 13th. Right now, that card is increasing. His current recent sale was $308 on September 10th. I actually unloaded a PSA 9 for about $100 that I had just gotten back last week. His ceiling during the last season was at 550. It was right after the season started. And then it just kind of went on a decline from there. It really did just bottom out at $200 in mid-July. And again, going into this year, we are seeing that there's that speculation coming back, and his value is increasing. And we are, have gone from 200 to just over 300 in the course of just about 60 days. But just remember that the Devils play in the Metro. This division is going to be an absolute meat grinder. You've got the Rangers, high expectations, high hopes for Rangers fans. The Islanders, Washington, and Carolina. I believe all four of those teams will place ahead of the New Jersey Devils. With that said, though, Hughes still has the potential to spike based on performance. He has had high expectations, and last year he just couldn't meet up to those. And his stat line wasn't, it was good, but it wasn't phenomenal. So I think this is the year that that Jack Hughes needs to beef up the stat line. I see this card for maybe going up to $400 at its highest in the short term before leveling off and declining as the season progresses. So with that, we'll go ahead and roll over into Nick Suzuki. So Suzuki is this is an interesting one here. So his last sale before the beginning of last season was $265. His current last sale went for about $400 on September 12th. So again, Suzuki, his line is in orange. If you see, that card didn't really. If you follow the orange line, you'll notice that card didn't really bottom out during the off season at all. As you know, Montreal lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to Tampa Bay. And since then, Suzuki's Young Guns PSA 10 has floated around $300. And it's been slowly increasing over the course of the off season. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that with this year, we're going back to the traditional divisional alignments. So the Canadians won't be playing in the quote-unquote North Division like they were last year. So they'll be back in the Atlantic Division. Similar to my take on the Devils, I don't think that the Canadians are going to make the playoffs. And I don't see his value maintaining an increase unless the Habs can get off to a solid start of the season. And if that's the case, then I would say all bets are off with Suzuki, and I could see it potentially getting up to as high as $600 again, especially given that he has currently a low PSA 10 pop count of it's approaching 300, but that's still pretty darn low. So that's my take on Nick Suzuki. And then last we'll round out with Quinn Hughes. So Quinn Hughes, this one I'm actually a buy on. I'm a pretty big buy on Quinn Hughes, and I'll tell you why. So last year, before the season started, his last sale right before the season started was at $275 in January. Right now, his current last sale is about $210. That sale was recorded on September 8th. So I'm going to say he bottomed out like now. Therefore, I'm a buy on this card. I actually do have a Quinn Hughes PSA 10 as well that I just got back in my recent sub. I am not looking to sell that card anytime soon. Right now, he is still an RFA, a restricted free agent. And it looks like that both him and Elias Pedersen will be signed by the Canucks, hopefully before training camp starts, and certainly hopefully before the preseason starts. Otherwise, they'll be kind of awkward. But I think once that contract is settled, then we'll start to see his card value increase. I still don't see the Canucks as a major threat this season. I do think they'll probably sneak in at like 4th place and make the playoffs. But so anyway, if you like Hughes like I do, I think right now is the best time to jump in on his PSA 10. As you can see, the buying opportunity has over the last year, over the last 9 months, hasn't been better than it is right now. So that's it for the 2019 rookie class, and next we'll transition and take a look at the 18-19 rookie class on the next slide. Okay, so moving into this second slide, this is going to show the 2018-19 top 4 graded Young Guns in a PSA 10. As I was just kind of reviewing my first slide, I've realized that I already exceeded 10 minutes. So if I were to extend this all out through the last 5 years worth of rookies, that this video would just be way entirely too long. So in the efforts to just keep the content at a more digestible length, I'm just gonna cut it off at this with the 2018-19, and we'll just consider this a part 1. So hopefully you guys like what you're seeing, and I will be releasing a separate video for the 17-18 class, 16-17, and 15-16 class. So anyways, with that, we'll just go ahead and get started with our last rookie class for this particular video, which is the 2018-19 class. So the top 4 most graded Young Guns in PSA 10. The leader is Elias Pedersen. He's got almost 1,200 PSA 10 Young Guns, followed by Jesperi Kotkaniemi with 462, Rasmus Daleen with 587, and also Andrei Svechnikov at 421. So we'll go ahead and just get started with we'll start left to right. Andrei Svechnikov, the Russian forward for the Carolina Hurricanes. A very prolific scorer. He's really young. He's 21 years old still at the moment. His last sale before the previous season starting was at $200 for his PSA 10. The current previous sale to closest to today was at $315 on September 11th. I think the both Svechnikov and the Hurricanes overall are going to be riding some momentum coming off of last season, especially with them their offer sheet signing of Jesperi Kotkaniemi, nabbing him from the Montreal Canadiens. Just remember the Carolina Hurricanes ran into the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs over the summer. And they were eliminated. I believe Tampa beat them 4-1. It was a pretty kind of open and shut series. They were bounced on June the 8th. But if you follow Svechnikov's graph line, which is in purple there, you'll notice that he, a month before the last season started, I mean, you just see an upward trend all the way up until early February. And then we have the downward slide, but then it kind of just leveled off around May, and since then we've seen an upward spike. So despite them getting eliminated in the second round, we never really, from that point onwards, we never saw a single instance of a sustained price decrease. So you see that increase leading up from early June into up to today. And so I just think that we'll see the steady increase continue as we approach the start of this next season. I think Carolina overall is going to be a solid runner-up, second place, maybe third in the Metro Division. And again, it's a very tough division they play in, but I think they will be a solid contender this year. And therefore, I expect that his PSA 10 price is going to slowly increase in value over the course of the next month. So if I had this card, though, I wouldn't be selling it. I would be holding it. I think that we've got some positive upside for Svechnikov going into the next year. Moving along with Elias Pedersen. So he is by far the number one graded Young Guns in a PSA 10. He has the highest pop count. It's close to 1,200. So this one's tricky. Anything with the Canucks right now is tricky. But so his last sale before the previous season started was at $400. His current last sale, as in the sale that took place on September 14th, was $290. So there's a few things going on. Number one, he's still an RFA. He's still a restricted free agent. I think he will be signed by Vancouver before the preseason starts. But the other thing that just kind of adds a wrench into this whole thing is that he missed a ton of games last season because I think he hyperextended his wrist. So lost a lot of games due to injury. And I think that's why that we saw that downward trajectory over the course of the last year. You know, he was out, he was missing games. And the Canucks, they just couldn't get it together playing in the North Division. And so, you know, we see that the downward trajectory continued until late July. It got all the way down to like around $250, it looks like. Since then, it's inched up to about $290, $300. And given that he's at 22 years of age, he's still really young. The thing is that do you think that Pedersen will actually perform this year? I mean, he's another one of those hobby darlings, but I'm hesitant to say how he's going to turn out this year. But I think in light of that, we'll still see a continued climb until the season starts, especially once his contract with Vancouver is finalized. But I think after that point, it just kind of it'll depend on. I think this is going to be a card that is performance based. I personally don't think that Vancouver is going to be. I think they're going to be a fourth place in the Pacific. So I don't know. I could see this card going either way. We'll move on to Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who is now with the Carolina Hurricanes. So last year with Montreal, the last sale of his PSA 10 Young Guns before the season started was at around $150. That value, it kind of bounced up and down a little bit, not too much either way. The most previous sale of his PSA 10 occurred on September the 5th at $140. So this one is another tricky one. So on the one hand, I think that Kotkaniemi is flying under the radar, hockey hobby-wise, just from going to a team like Montreal to Carolina. And while he's not the superstar that everybody hoped that he was going to be at the time, he had a lot of high expectations his rookie year. And now with being with Carolina, I think, Carolina's going to be like a solid second place team in the Metropolitan Division. I would have to think that his PSA 10 can't go much lower than it already is. But, the sales data is kind of all over the place. And at the same time, also take note, last year in the playoffs, he was with the Canadiens. You don't see, a crazy overreaction in his prices to Montreal making the Cup Finals. And again, for that, I would point to the stat sheet. He just isn't he's not the prolific goal scorer that everybody thought he was going to be. He does contribute some, assists on the score sheet, but I still think, he's still really young and the jury is still out on how he's going to turn out long term. So, but I think this is a really good a year for him playing in Carolina with Svechnikov. I think they're going to be a very good team. So I think if you believe in Kotkaniemi and you believe in the Canes for the short term, I would say that it's a buy. Now, I think we'll find out really quickly how he settles into playing with the Hurricanes. So I am looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. And then our last one, we're going to round this out with Rasmus Daleen, the defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres. He's still currently a free agent, but I think the Sabres, they're just a dumpster fire. There's a lot of good pieces that are on that team, but the team has just been mismanaged into the ground, and the Buffalo Sabres, I think, are going to. I mean, this is not like anything shocking, but I think the Sabres are going to be the worst team in hockey this year. He is a solid defenseman. He's a potential superstar defenseman. He just plays on a really crappy team. So he's kind of like a high risk, high reward type of card if you're into it. I don't think that there are any good short-term options on Daleen. As you can see, like his last sale before the beginning of last year was at $200 on his PSA 10. And it's kind of gone up, down, but mostly the downward trajectory. Most recently, it looks like we're at pretty much the bottom. His most recent Young Guns PSA 10 went for $99 on September 12th. So I think that if you believe in Daleen long term, I think it's a great buy. Who knows? Maybe he won't even last with the Sabres for a long time, but it's kind of, who knows what the GM's going to do with that team. So I think he's a solid for a long term. He's a solid buy at his current price, but there's just not going to be a whole lot of cheering this year for the Buffalo Sabres, unfortunately. So anyways, we'll go ahead and pause it there. That's going to do it for the 2018. We're going to go ahead and stop there. We've done 2019 and 2018. In part 2, I will go on to the 2017, 16, and 15 rookie classes as we look at that season preview. So thanks again, guys, for your time watching. Again, please feel free to hit the like button. Let me know your comments if you agree, disagree, or what your plans are for the next 30 days as we approach the next NHL season. I'm really excited about it, and thanks again for your time and watching, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.